All right, guys. Welcome to episode 1 of the Restoration Industry Book Review. I've got guests with me, Troy Clymer of Balanced Claims and Dale Childress, the Master Closer. I'm excited to start this series that we're doing and want to actually begin what we're doing here by sharing a brief clip from the book that we're reviewing today. So give me 1 second to get that queued up and go ahead and check this out. All right, guys, that was a brief clip. Hopefully you heard it there of the book, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, which is going to be kind of the focus point of our talk today, written by Brian Tracy. Now, guys, I appreciate both of you being on. When I decided to do this podcast series, one, it was something for myself so that I could continue to grow, continue to learn. And I knew that it was something that was going to bring me around other people who were focused on doing those same things. And you guys are, I already know both of you are that in spades. So I wanted to start off and just kind of introduce the audience to both of you here. We'll go with Troy Clymer first. Could you tell me, Troy, a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Matt. Glad to be here. Hey, everybody. Troy Clymer, co-founder and COO and CFO of Balanced Claims. Also the president of the Catalyst Group and a board advisor at the American Policyholder Association. Balanced Claims, we own a couple sub-brands you might be familiar with as well. Art of the Supplement, which is run and operated by us and led by our very own John Dye. And then we also have a media company. We put on a show called the American Contractor Show. So glad to be here, Matt. Love collaborating with Dale. So super excited to kick off the first episode and one of my favorite books, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Brian Tracy.
All right, awesome. And
Matt,
yeah, go ahead, Dale.
Matt, thanks for having me on here. My name's Dale Childress Jr. I'm the president of Master Closer. We are a roof sales training company. We go out and travel the United States and train roof sales teams on how to close more deals and how to get their gross up. And how to build and scale a sales team. So that's our specialty. That's our expertise. It's the sales side of the roofing industry. And we also started, my wife and I started this year, a nonprofit called Roofers Who Care. And it's where we actually go out on the front lines during a major catastrophe. And we help those homeowners with their emergency immediate need repairs. And so that's a nonprofit that we just started called Roofers Who Care. You can find a Facebook page on that, Roofers Who Care.
Right on. All right, guys. Again, thank you both for being on here. I wanted to start off, obviously, we're talking about this book, but this book relates to everything that we're doing in our lives, in our businesses, our relationships. But I wanted to throw this first question to Troy. Troy, you were the one that suggested this book, and I appreciate you doing that because I thoroughly enjoyed it, got a lot of value out of it. But I wanted to ask you, why was this the book out of any book that you could have chosen that you suggested for us?
Good question, Matt. Sure. And, I love Brian Tracy. And, so knowing Dale was going to be on here, Dale and I talk a lot about and are practitioners of a concept of what's known as the law of attraction, right? So it's a kind of a universal law out there. It's really taken shape and become popularized over the last decade. It started with this the movie from Rhonda Byrne and her book, The Secret, right? So as it applies to business, I believe this book, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, from Brian Tracy, very simple read from Brian, if you're familiar with Brian Tracy, but it's all about the law of attraction, right? And it focuses on that you are in control of your thoughts, and your thoughts are things. And to manifest and get what you want, you have to take control of your mind. And by changing your thinking, you can change your life. So it's a great book. I always recommend it when I mentor people. It's the book I start with. It gives me a good barometer for where they're at. And I'm a big fan of Brian Tracy. I've been involved with him for about 15 years now. And this is one of my favorite books of his.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I know for myself, like I said, I hadn't read the book before. I felt like I was reading a book written about me. And it really helped me understand both myself and other people better, because I recognize that not everybody thinks in these ways. One of the things that he talks about is forgiving and excusing wrongs done to you. And I literally, the day before I read that segment, was driving with my wife, and somebody literally just swerved around us, cut through the intersection, and they had the license plate blessed one, which was ironic in itself, but just went speeding down the road. And my wife was like, "Oh my gosh." And I just go, "Oh, they may be in an emergency. I don't know. Like, I don't need to get hung up on that. I can just excuse them." But so many things I was just encouraged to understand about myself, and really has explained a lot of the areas where I've been successful was because of a lot of the concepts in this book. Now, I want to jump over to Dale here real quick. Dale, tell me, I guess, your thoughts on this book. What did you like about it? What have you found?
So one of the things that I really got out of it that really stood out, there was actually 3 main takeaways that I got from that book. And that's a book that I've referred to many times over my life. I do have to say, Think and Grow Rich changed my life. That was when it all started.
Yeah.
And then my pursuit for personal development just increased after that. So this is definitely a classic. Brian Tracy is amazing. Anybody who's not heard of Brian Tracy, you got to get on board. Solid principles. The fundamentals are there. 80-20 rule he talks about. And things in my life started really changing a lot whenever I started focusing on what I'm putting my attention on. We all seem to get caught up in having a schedule and having these appointments and booking our time and managing our time. But one of the things that I really hit hard on, especially when I train my clients, is what are you putting your attention on? Instead of managing your time, let's start managing our attention. When I started managing where my attention was going, my business skyrocketed. So that's one of the takeaways I got from Brian Tracy is manage the 80-20 rule. 20%, pay attention to what you're spending your attention on, because a lot of us are spending our time and attention on the wrong things, and it's a self-sabotage, really. But That was a big takeaway that I got out of it. Also, one of the things was when he had mentioned in the book, Troy, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when he talks about how your brain is not your mind. And that is really deep and psychological, because, we have this internal guidance system, and the internal guidance system is our intuition. It's our mind. Our brain is just an organ, but our mind is our internal intuition that guides us. And we can develop that skill and that muscle so we can actually dial in and listen to that inner voice. Listening to my inner voice absolutely contributed to my own success. So that was another great takeaway that I got from the book.
Awesome. Hey, I want to interject one quick thing here for everybody watching out there. And that is my copy of this book I am going to be giving away. So if you are watching this, you haven't read this book, you don't own it, comment on this feed here. And I'm going to basically just pick somebody from the comments here that's watching our stream live here to give this book to. I'll send you a message, get your address, get this in the mail to you, because I want to share this. I am a big believer. I buy a lot of books, but I give them away constantly. I don't like stacking up books here at home. So you guys leave a comment. I'll send that book to one of the people that comments on there. Troy, I wanted to get your take. You are somebody who is obviously in leadership. You lead a company of 50 people, and you lead the Catalyst group. You lead all these different areas. Can you tell me some of the principles, I guess, that are talked about in this book that you use in regards to leadership?
That's a good question, and Dale hit on something, and I'll dive into that with this. Right, for those of you who know about Brian Tracy, he's a Christian guy. He's very spiritual in that regard, right? So what Dale's getting on, he talks about the power of your mind being different from your brain. It's really where your brain meets your soul, meets your intellect, meets your attitude, right? Those 4 pillars are what become your mind. Getting control of that is a challenge in adulthood, right? So a balance, we've got a great culture. It's transcended even what's happened this year, right? It's been amazing to see our culture blossom digitally. Is our company. We've got 50 employees and 18,000 square foot office in Indianapolis, and we're really 3 companies in one, right? So Balance Claims is kind of a behemoth, right? We've grown quite quickly in people, processes, and systems, right? We acquired Art of the Supplement last year and everything that went along with that. And then we gave birth to a media agency this year, right? That's produced The Daily Show, The American Contractor Show. There's 3 things that I'm always saying, right? There's 2 pillars, each with 3 tenets, right? The first is you got to love, lead, and laugh. If you love the people that work with you and you lead them and you laugh with them, you get to know them. You get to know their families. You spend time with them. I know both these guys that are on this episode today for a short amount of time. Really about a year. Matt, you and I met last year at the International Roofing Expo. Dale and I had met virtually over the course of the last 2 years, but didn't get a chance to really shoulder to shoulder spend any time until we were at the SRC conference last year down in Dallas. And, so now we have this bond. But one thing we all did in that time was focus on loving and laughing, right? Because that's leading. We weren't sitting, we understand what's going on with each other's business. We're at these events, we're incredibly busy, we're speaking, we're organizing people, right? But you make a connection when you get to know somebody, right? And then you identify how you can deliver value to them. Dale brought that up. What do I have to give, right? If you want to receive, and that's what this book is about, you've got to put energy out to get energy back, right? And so at Balance, we're all about loving, leading, and laughing. And then we're focused on people, processes, and systems. And that's become kind of cliched, but we're really good at that, right? We start with people, right? Because everything revolves around the humans that work for us. At Balance, we're a services company. We're large. We do business in all 48 states. We've got 53 people, if you throw in a few of our subcontractors that work almost full-time for us that are our 1099s. So that's a lot of people that organize, but we've got all these different departments, right? So something that sticks out to me in this book, and I'm going to go to page 128 and 129, right, if you're in the book. And it's the chapter on put people first, right?
Troy, let me, just one quick thing. I just picked up the book and pulled it open, 2 pages, 128, 129. If that's not the universe working for me, I don't know what it is.
Well, that's what the book's about, right? And so the hardest thing about this, Dale is a master of this, right? I have to put some skill into this. I'm an accountant, right? And I have a sales background, but I'm the CFO. So I'm like the numbers guy. And I'm good at relationships, a strong suit of mine as well. Operations, finance, accounting, banking, people, right? So I've been away from the front line of sales for a minute. But one thing that Dale is excellent at is teaching you how to utilize your energy to get what you want from people and with people, right? And that's what this chapter is about. So, just to summarize, there's kind of 5 bullet points on these page. 2 people together, multiple masterminds, guard your time. Dale hit on that earlier. Attention. It's about guarding your time and your attention and being selective in your choices and seeking out a mentor, okay? So I know, I'm a Christian person. one tenet in my prayer in the morning and evening is that God would bless me with bringing into my life the people that he would have in my life, and that he would remove from my life the people that don't need to be in my life, right? And so that's a little bit what this is about. And it talks about you can have more than one mastermind network, right? And that you should definitely have a mastermind network. This is a mastermind network right here. I'm collaborating with the two of you guys regularly throughout digital, this year, especially digitally. And that's important because the core tenet of leadership, right? And it's a lot of people say, wow, as a born leader. You become a leader, okay? And you become a leader by letting yourself be influenced by other people. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing for me in leadership is the people who are willing to lead with me or to follow me. What I learn from them is what I'm able to kind of regurgitate, and it doesn't happen in real time, but you got to put people first.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And obviously, Troy, I wanted to get the leadership question from you. Dale, I've got to ask you the question. I know you're an avid reader as well. You're, the proclaimed master closer. And so I want to hear from you what lessons from this book and kind of the ideas in this book do you apply to sales and closing that have been powerful for you?
So your answer is going to be a little more advanced. Okay.
Great.
The thing about sales in general and what we do in our reality, it's I would say 99% energy and frequency that you're vibrating at, and 1% skill. Now, yeah, I'm going on record saying that, but I understand it. I understand it now. After doing this for so long, I've been teaching for 20 years now, but after doing this for so long, I understand that it's all energy. This is all energy. And it's not necessarily the vocal stuff that we're talking about. We're talking about what frequency are you vibrating at naturally, and what are you attracting into your life that you're not even aware of. So one of the things that Brian Tracy taught me was if you want to attract something in your life, you have to match that vibration. You have to match that vibration, and that's what attracts it to you, because you're putting yourself on that level. Again, this is very advanced. It's all psychological. Most people put their attention on the wrong thing. They think they need to learn that word track. They think they need to learn that pitch, and they need to get every word perfect. And they never ask me when I'm teaching them what my mindset should be. They never ask me how excited I should sound. They never ask me what thoughts they're having when they approach the appointment. And guys, that's everything in sales. Are the things that nobody's asking about is what's actually going on. So the thoughts, the power of positive thinking, I think the power of positive thinking trumps a lot in business, far above skill. And because you can take someone with the right attitude and the right mindset and you can teach them the skill. But when you try and do it the opposite, you have somebody that has the skills, but they've got a wrong mindset and the wrong attitude, that's an uphill battle. So that's the big thing that really stuck out. The power of positive thinking. It's literally using your own positive energy to create your ideal scene is what I call it, your perfect life. And guys, that's totally doable. We all have the power and the ability to create our own ideal scene, and everybody's ideal scene is going to be different. And I think that's a beautiful thing. That's what makes the world unique. That's what makes us all unique in this world. So being able to think positively and knowing there's always a way, you just got to find the way, will definitely take you far in what we're doing.
Awesome.
So it's psychological. It's a short answer. Yeah. It's all psychological.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I think that's hugely powerful. I do consulting myself, and a lot of it is, okay, here's the word tracks, here's the things to say. But you have to start at that. What are you trying to achieve? What are your motives in doing this? And you get those right, and everything else just kind of falls into place.
There's a good part in this book that hits on what Dale's getting at. It's on page 157. It's called, that chapter is called Unleash Your Mental Powers. And starts on page 157. There's a subchapter called Get the Feeling. Okay, and that's what Dale's getting at. It takes confidence to get there. You got to be able to hang up your hang-ups. Listen, as humans, we've got families, kids, other responsibilities. Depending on where you're at in your job or your career, those things evolve, right? When you're just starting out, you have more hang-ups that you've got to hang up to get that feeling, what fails to get on that frequency. It's very challenging, right? He talked about the power of positive thinking, also a great book, right? And that really is the single most important thing you can do to help yourself be successful, not just at work, but in everything. In your relationship with your spouse, which is always, love is not an easy thing, right? In your relationship with people, very important what Dale just talked about.
Awesome. Yeah. I actually was thinking about you as they were talking about this, is he talks about envisioning the outcome before you get there and envisioning the positive outcome that you want to happen. So obviously in a sales situation, you envision them signing on the dotted line. You envision that project going beautifully right from the very get-go. And so I know we've talked about some of those concepts before.
Matt,
guys,
that actually brings me to a good point. Whenever the easiest way to close a deal or build a relationship is go ahead and envision it as if it's already in the present tense. A little gold nugget that I learned a long time ago that I live by today is you have to live your life as if you already are in your ideal scene. And then everything else catches up to create the physical ideal scene. That's a very key component. It has to be real in our mind, in our mind first. And it's almost like we trick ourselves into believing we're already there. And when you do that, the world will move things at a very rapid rate to catch up to you. And that's really what's going on. Everybody's trying to catch up to you. And you got to vibrate at the frequency that you want your life to be. So again, a lot of it's psychological. It's all energy. Focus on what you want and don't put any attention at all on what you don't want. When I'm in a class teaching, I may ask a student, "Hey, what is your goal? What is your number one goal this year?" And instead of saying something that they want, they say, "Well, I don't want any more debt." And they say what they don't want.
Yeah.
And they're literally sabotaging themselves because they're putting their attention on more of what they don't want. Hope that makes sense. I wanted to share that with you because that was a perfect point.
Yeah.
We shouldn't put our attention on what we don't want, and saying you don't want something and continuing to talk about what you don't want puts you on that frequency to attract what
absolutely.
you don't want.
You're just feeding into that. Guys, we've got Dale Childress is actually just about to be a guest on the RoofCon Roofathon or Callathon, I believe it is. And so we are going to he's going to have to jump off of here so he can make his commitment there. Dale, I appreciate so much all the insight that you brought to this call. I'm going to continue on with Troy for just a couple more minutes. But thank you so much for being a part of this. Look forward to seeing you at RoofCon. Guys, hang in there with us for a couple more minutes, then go join Dale Childress in the RoofCon deal there. They're doing a great fundraiser to help roofers in recovery. So I want to promote that as well. But Dale, thanks for coming on, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you having me. Troy, great seeing you again.
Love you, bro. See you soon.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you later.
You too. Bye. All right. Hate that he had to leave, but Troy, I wanted to kind of throw the next question over to you as well. because there's nobody else here, just you and me. But you talked about, sharing this with people that that you're helping mentor, sharing this with people that you're helping to grow. What type of person, obviously don't name names here, but what type of person do you think could really gain a lot of value from this and really improve their lives because of this understanding?
Listen, anybody out there who's looking to have upward mobility in relationships, in wealth, in health, in abundance, this book is for you. If you're stuck in a rut, you don't know how to get out of it, this book is for you, right? I see Shauna Polito, my good friend, commenting right now. Her and David Summerly, excellent people who embody this, right? There's a lot of books out there that focus on the law of attraction. And as a human, I'm as guilty of this as anybody. We find ourselves at times stuck in a negative mindset, whether it's just in the course of a day or whether it's in a season of your life, right? I always come back to this book. There's some other books that are good that focus on the law of attraction. If you don't have an advanced understanding of this, like Dale does, like I do, right? This is a good book to start with. And it breaks it down in a business sense. Spirituality and Christianity certainly are themes in this book, but they're not overt, right? So it's relatable for people who maybe are of a different faith than Christian, right? There's some other books. If you want the basic kind of understanding of the law of attraction, I would highly recommend the first kind of text and audiobook that glorified and popularized it is by Rhonda Byrne, just called The Secret. Came out around about 2000, 2002. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the universal law of attraction has been around forever, right? People are masters of this and they utilize it to get what they want out of life, right? And so I would say this book, in my mind, is a very easy, digestible read. But like you said, Matt, you read it and it gives you confidence if you're on the right path. But it's like a playbook, right? I always keep it with me. It's one of those books I keep close at hand, right? Because it's easy to turn to a page and go back and remind yourself and move yourself off of a negative mindset in the course of the day or season in your life, right? So this is the book I always start with. People ask me for book recommendations a lot. And I'll always start with this because it's an easy read that can get you focused, and it's applicable to whatever, business, education, anything. So anybody who's looking to improve themselves in any area of their life, this book is for you. And like its title, it's about changing your thinking to change your life, right? And most people who are not having the best time in their lives for whatever reason, when they read this book, it dawns on them that they're creating a lot of that negative energy or that negative cycle for themselves. And so it can open up the opportunity for them to then advance. And there's a lot of other good books. It's amazing once you get started what just comes to you, right? But people are key, so don't go through it alone. That's why I like to do these things. And Matt, I love your series here about focusing on books, right? And the next book you're going to read is a good one too, right? But and it's hard to find time to read. I get it. This is a book that's also digestible in audiobook format, and it's pretty easy to consume that way as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, awesome. I really agree with everything that you're saying there. I couldn't help but think as I was reading this of individuals that I know that could benefit from it. And I know a lot of people that, because of the way that they were, raised, were led to believe that they only had a tiny amount of opportunities. They only had a tiny amount of potential. And this thinking that this book really teaches step by step, I think can break down a lot of that and show people that there's so much more out there.
Well, it's a good point, Matt. And you just talked about the Roofers in Recovery call-a-thon that's going on today, right? This book is widely used, and I participate in a group here through my church called Overcomers, and we work with women and men who are reentering society from incarceration or from addiction or whatever setting they're in that's less than ideal, right? A lot of these people think, well, my circumstances are going to dictate where I'm going to go. There are so many stories of people that have overcome, right? And you look at a lot of the contemporary kind of gurus out there today, Brian Tracy, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, all of them are people who had the chips stacked against them, right, from the beginning. And so Roofers in Recovery is about that. So if you haven't tuned into that, check that out today. It's going on the RoofCon groups, right? I came from that over to this, and donate some money, right? It's about helping. There's a lot of people in this industry, in the contracting industry, not just roofers, who there's been a huge movement over the last 3 years, really 36 months, by some leading names in the space: Paul Reed, Eric Obrempt, Jonathan Sherwood. I could go on and on. People who have overcome bad circumstances in their lives and are now leading, loving, laughing with people, right? This book is a good place to start, and it's easy to get. It's inexpensive. You can get it on Amazon in any format. So if you're looking for something that's not overly cumbersome, it's not focused on a specific business construct, but more focused on how you can prepare your mind, your spirit, and yourself to achieve the objectives and the goals that you have. And that's very, very important distinction. Objectives are different than goals, right? Your goals are quantitative. Your objectives are qualitative, right? This is a good place to start. I'd highly recommend it. Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Brian Tracy.
Awesome. Man, I appreciate so much having you on as well. I'm going to go ahead and dump you off of here and give a little intro for the book that we're going to do next week. Thanks for coming on, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Appreciate you, Matt. Have a good afternoon. Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into the podcast here. Hopefully you've gotten some value out of it. I know that I have. I wanted to share with you the book that we're doing next week. If you want to read along with us, we are going to be reading Atomic Habits: Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results. I haven't even started this. I'm getting ready to, I'm going to start cracking this book this evening. I'll have it read by next week. Pick up a copy for yourself, get it on Audible or whatever, wherever you want to consume that book. And so we can, you can follow along with that. I'm going to be doing next week's episode with Eric Obrempt of D&M Roofing out in Omaha, Nebraska, and Joseph Hughes, who does roofing. Who is our marketing guru. And both of them have read this book already. So I'm going to be the new guy again. But we're going to be reading Atomic Habits. Check that out. I'm told it is just a killer book. Comment below if you want to receive today's book. And I'll be, like I said, sending out my copy of that. I'll Lysol it down so you don't get Corona from me potentially. And you guys have a great evening. Share this over with anybody you think that could benefit from it. And we'll see you next week.